Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Jazz NBA Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, and entertainment. You already know we give you guys a fresh perspective on things as we see them. And today, we have an absolutely wild show lined up for you guys. But before we get started, make sure you go ahead, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll never miss a moment of our content. You'll definitely want to stay in the loop. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's dive right into it. Today we're talking about the one and only Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers, and their endless saga of disappointment. This is a heavy one, folks. So let's go back a bit. Back to when Kawhi Leonard was at his peak. This man, at one point, was my favorite player in the NBA. And trust me, there were plenty of reasons for that. His play style was just so reminiscent of some of the all-time greats. You could see flashes of Kobe Bryant in the way he played, and of course there were even shades of Michael Jordan in his mid-range game. He was a quiet assassin on the court, just like those legends. Kawhi started with the San Antonio Spurs, and under Coach Popovich, he grew into an elite player. In 2014, he was the Finals MVP, and that was when he really started to build his legacy. But the moment that truly solidified him as one of the best, that 2019 playoff run with the Toronto Raptors. Y'all remember that shot against the Sixers, right? One of the greatest buzzer beaters in playoff history. The way it bounced around the rim before going in? Iconic. That playoff run made believers out of everyone, and he led the Raptors to their first ever NBA championship. At that moment, Kawhi was the man. He was unstoppable, and it seemed like his reign at the top of the NBA was just beginning. But then, something happened that surprised everyone. Instead of staying in Toronto and trying to run it back for another championship, Kawhi decided to head to the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, let's be honest, we get it. It's LA, it's home for him, and the Clippers were a team on the rise, so it made sense at the time. When Kawhi signed with the Clippers, it was huge. But it wasn't just that he was joining the team. He brought Paul George with him. This completely shook up the NBA. I remember when the news broke, people were losing their minds. Everyone thought the Clippers were going to take over the league. Kawhi had just come off a championship season, Paul George was playing at an MVP level, and it seemed like the perfect fit. All the pieces were in place for them to win the title. And for a while, it looked like they were on their way. The Clippers were one of the favorites to win it all, and they breezed through the regular season and into the playoffs. But then, the unthinkable happened. We all know what I'm talking about, the 2020 Western Conference semifinals against the Denver Nuggets. The Clippers were up 3-1 in the series. All they had to do was win one more game to advance to the Western Conference Finals. And instead, they blew it. They choked away a 3-1 lead. Kawhi was playing great throughout that series until Game 7. That's when things completely fell apart. Kawhi had a bad game, Paul George had an even worse game, and they just couldn't close it out. It was one of the most shocking playoff collapses in NBA history. And from that point on, the Clippers have never been the same. And now, let's talk about the real issue that has plagued the Clippers ever since: Kawhi's injuries. Ever since that 2020 collapse, it's been one injury after another for Kawhi Leonard. Here's the breakdown. In the 2019-2020 season, he played 57 games. The next season, just 52. Then, he missed the entire 2021 season due to an ACL injury, came back and played 52 games in 2022. And last season, he managed to play 68 games, but then broke down in the playoffs. And in the playoffs, it's even worse. In 5 seasons with the Clippers, he's played a grand total of 28 playoff games. Just 28. In that time, the Clippers haven't even come close to winning a championship. They've been nothing but a disappointment. That's where we are right now with Kawhi and the Clippers. The injuries have taken such a toll that it's hard to see any future where the Clippers can contend for a title. Every time you think they're going to make a run, something happens, and Kawhi ends up on the sidelines. Recently, there's been even more speculation about Kawhi's health. I came across an article from ClippersHall.com that addressed some rumors about his condition. Apparently, there was a post from one of Kawhi's agents on X, formerly Twitter, that hinted at some bad news regarding his health. As you can imagine, that sent the Clippers fan base into a frenzy. Thankfully, Clippers insider Murray stepped in to calm everyone down, saying that Kawhi is fine. But here's the thing. How many times have we heard this before? Every time they say Kawhi is fine, something ends up going wrong later down the road. As someone who supported Kawhi Leonard for years, I've gotten to the point where I just don't want to hear it anymore. These constant updates on his injury status don't mean anything to me until he can prove he's durable enough to stay healthy through a playoff run. And honestly, I'm not holding my breath. Now, here's a crazy idea. Given how fragile Kawhi's been, should the Clippers just sit him out for most of the season? I know it sounds wild, but hear me out. They've tried everything else. They've tried load management, playing him in short bursts, and even giving him long stretches of rest, but nothing has worked. So why not just sit him out entirely until the playoffs? Don't play him at all during the regular season. Bring him back for a few games just before the playoffs to get his rhythm, and then let him go full force in the postseason. I know it sounds extreme, but at this point, what else can the Clippers do? We all know that the only thing that matters is whether or not Kawhi can stay healthy in the playoffs. That's when championships are won. So if the Clippers have any hope of making a serious run, they need Kawhi at full strength when it counts. Now, let's take a step back and look at the Clippers overall. It's not just Kawhi that's been a problem. The team has been falling apart. Paul George is gone. Russell Westbrook is now a Denver Nugget, and Tyronn Lue is trying to convince everyone that this season will be different. But honestly, I'm not buying it. The Clippers are in a rough spot right now. They've got a brand new arena, the Intuit Dome, opening soon, and Steve Ballmer wanted to bring a championship trophy into that building. But without a healthy Kawhi Leonard or a consistent roster, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So, here's the big question. What's the future for Kawhi and the Clippers? Can Kawhi ever return to his old self, or are we past that point? And more importantly, can the Clippers actually build a championship team around him, or is it time to start thinking about breaking up the core? I'm skeptical. It's been 5 years of the same story: injuries, disappointments, and early playoff exits. If something doesn't change soon, the Clippers are going to have to make some serious decisions about their future. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we start hearing rumors of Kawhi moving on. So that's my take on the whole Kawhi Leonard Clippers saga. It's been frustrating to watch, especially as a fan, but I want to hear from you guys. Do you think the Clippers still have a shot at winning a title with Kawhi? Or is it time to move on? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching this episode of the Jazz NBA Show. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of our content. We'll be back with more hot topics, debates, and sports coverage. Until then, peace out.